Good morning, beautiful people. It is May 5th, 2020. Happy Cinco de Mayo. We've been doing a little bit of research on the Cinco de Mayo celebration. It was a revolution day for, obviously, the Mexican people way back in the day. But then in the 1980s, the greedy corporate fat cats turned it into what it is today with the beer companies. And now it is a celebration to not only celebrate Mexico, but obviously to get intoxicated, which I believe a lot of people have been doing in their quarantine, which could eventually lead to a problem. But hey, you got to get by. Hey, you got to get by. You do what you got to do. Be smart, be safe. We're almost to the other side of this thing. Live sports are back in our world. Yes! On the opposite side of planet Earth, this morning, Korean baseball took off and had a successful outing. A former MLB pitcher, Dan Straley, had 5 innings pitched, and we saw a lot of clips this morning on all the shows because live sports being back is good. That means live sports gambling is back, which is great, which means we can talk about something for at least 2 minutes. It stinks that it has to be baseball, but there's also more good baseball news coming out, I guess, May 15th. Along those lines, the MLB is getting back into spring training again. It feels as if that tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel that we've been kind of looking like Jameis Winston at pre-LASIK surgery for a long, long time is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think our world's going to get back to normal. Now, what's happening with the COVID-19 numbers, we do not know. Texas is all the way back. If you're in Indiana, Indiana's all the way back. Had a lot of traffic this morning and it was rainy, so I don't know where people are headed, but they're somewhere outside of their house, which makes a lot of sense because you go from stir crazy to feeling freedom to invincible, and I think our country is about at that point of invincibility, and I don't think there's a better day to celebrate that type of thing, and that is Cinco de Mayo. A lot of big topics, obviously. Just talked about Korean baseball. Odell Beckham said he's going to be back bigger, stronger, better than ever. He was hurt all last year. Handled that entire situation very well, especially because he was playing while hurt, and nobody was really talking about it. If I'm Odell Beckham, I would like people to know that I'm playing through a hernia and a bunch of other stuff while Freddie Kitchens is calling draws on 4th and 18 and we're kind of stinking up the joint whenever people thought we're potentially going to win a Super Bowl. Not me. I didn't think that, but a lot of people that were sitting in this particular chair speaking into this microphone said that they were potentially going to win a Super Bowl. Also, Cam Newton released a vlog on his YouTube that was absolutely sick last night, talking about he's coming for people's neck. Nobody knows what team could potentially sign Cam Newton. The thought is that Cam Newton won't want to be a backup quarterback. Is Cam Newton going to continue to be a content creator and a workout freak and then wait for somebody's quarterback to either get hurt or have a terrible start and then come in, Superman, save the day? It sure feels like that. He is going ham in his home gym, which is very large, by the way. He does well for himself. Yesterday, Don Shula passed away. We had a moment of silence during our show, but I didn't know much about Don Shula. Last night, I got a chance to learn about the greatness of Don Shula, whether it was from Scott Van Pelt or Greeny this morning. 347 wins in the NFL, which is 31 more than Bill Belichick. You have to wonder if Bill Belichick is still coaching and remaining to coach long time because he's had that number in sight for a long time. He said that Bill Belichick said when he grew up in Baltimore, in Maryland, he was a big fan of the Baltimore Colts, which also makes me think that every time he plays the Colts, that's why he tries to step on our throats, because the Colts hopped in a Mayflower and moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis. I pieced that together last night in his statement I was like, oh my God, that makes sense, because whenever we go to Baltimore, there's still some Ravens fans who are like in their 60s, 70s, 80s who hate the Colts. Like, we get told to bring the trophies back to Baltimore, and I'm like, yo, I literally was not even born whenever the team was brought to Indianapolis. I apologize. That is a deep grudge. Now, granted, they've won a Super Bowl since. The Ravens have become an incredible organization, but there's some old heads who are not exactly excited that the Colts left Baltimore overnight to Indianapolis. Bill Belichick, in his statement about Don Shula, talking about greatness and consistency. Whenever you hear the greats talk about somebody like that, you can't help but pay your respects. And Don Shula, although I never met him or get to see him coach or anything along those lines, I think a man who has had that type of success at the top of the top in the greatest league on earth in the NFL deserves another moment of silence. Moment of gone. Great hair on that guy.
Oh, yeah.
All the clips they have of him, by the way, he's not speaking. He's just staring off into the distance with great hair. Last night, they showed a montage of him. What a guy. I couldn't even fathom going undefeated in Miami during the time that they went undefeated in Miami and being that head coach. The ability to have to, I don't want to say control guys, but I think kind of being able to rally guys and keep them motivated while they're probably working side jobs, while they're smoking cigarettes at halftime, while they're doing all this stuff, to get a group of men to show up every single week. Don Shula did that. 33 seasons he coached. He only had 2 losing seasons, and he had 2 Super Bowls. The man, obviously, the top of the Mount Rushmore for coaches, not for the Colts, although he did coach the Colts. Rest in peace to him. It is Cinco de Mayo, and I've been told that there is a brand new song that the boys would like to be the new intro to the show. Is that accurate? Is that an accurate assessment?
I love it.
Zito said that he would like us to play the song because we've been asking people to send in songs, because the Chase Rice song, although a banger, I'm tired of hearing it. Okay? I have ADD. I move along quickly. I've heard that thing 2 times a day for what now? 7 months?
Yep.
I love Chase Rice. He's handsome. Had to sing a concert for his ex-girlfriend on The Bachelor, all that stuff. Good guy. But I'm done with the song. So we've been asking people to send in songs. This was Zito's favorite, and he said, please play this.
I feel like it's a pretty big moment in show's history. I want you to know I'm pushing this button here with a gun to my head. I don't want to be responsible.
Whoa,
Gun to your head. Are you
This
figuring out the...
this is like launching a nuke right now.
This is only.
Have you heard it all, Pat?
This is only Zito.
I have not heard this. And by the way, the boys do a good job of protecting me, because whenever I see something, I feel so bad for people. It potentially ruins my day. Like if this song is very bad, I will feel terrible for said person who didn't have the self-awareness after recording and listening and putting it out there to us. I do not feel good about that. So the guys protect me. That is something that you guys do. But every once in a while, I'll get forced to watch something or listen to something because the guys would like to torment me and make me feel terrible for somebody. Is that what's happening here, I assume?
I just remembered what song it is.
It's a day
That
roader.
is what's happening to
I've
me right
never
now.
heard this. I'm
never
very
heard it.
excited.
Okay, so me, Foxy, Ty have never heard this. Nick, Diggs, Zito, Jay, have you heard this thing?
No.
No, nobody. Jay didn't talk to him, but Jay wouldn't know. So the room is divided on the Cinco de
I
Mayo.
enjoyed it because he tried his hardest and he said something
Oh,
to us.
my God.
It's a good tune.
All right, we don't say the guy's name, right? Who made the song?
No, I don't think so.
From
Play.
I wouldn't dare.
Kicking it around with McAfee, and we were doing it for the brand. Patting the boys in the heart of Indiana, and you know that it'll never be planned. He went from kicking rockets in the AFC South to spitting mad truths from out of his mouth. Number gold and 69 in our hearts. Hold your balls, cause we're ready to start the Pat McAfee Show. Pat McAfee Show. 3, 2, 1, and we're ready to go on the
Pat McAfee
The show has begun.
All right, we'll never play that again. But I appreciate
He tried his
respect.
hardest, though.
Hey, that wasn't a bad little jig there. You didn't like it at Ty Schmidt is here with a straight face that entire song.
Yeah, no, I was not a fan of that.
All right, Tone Diggs is here. How'd you feel about it?
It was good, like in the 20s.
Diggs at Nick Moraldo pressed play with a gun to his head. He said, as if he
it was very ragtime.
It's very hard not to just say like,
No.
I got to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I feel bad having to play that for everybody.
Why?
I'm sorry.
It was a banger.
That was a banger.
Got in AFC South, even the division I played in. That is what we're talking about. Now, that's the standard. If you think you can make a song better than that, send it to stuff4theshow at patmcafeeshow.com. That's stuff spelled stuff for the number 4, the show at patmcafeeshow.com. Nick, Phil, the boys. So if you have graphics, by the way, you want to send in photos, stories, things of that nature, feel free. A lot of people say they want to work here. Come on, this is a good way to get started. At Jason McAfee's here, Viva Lazito's here, Evan Foxy's here, and wearing the Star Wars hat he had on yesterday at Boston Connor.
Viva la Raza! It's a Cinco de Mayo hat today, but thanks you.
Viva La Raza, that is shades of Eddie Guerrero. What do you know what Viva La Raza means?
Yeah, I know what Viva la Raza means. Why?
What's it mean?
Do you know what it means? Viva
Yeah,
la
I know
Raza?
what it means. It sounds like though you just watched an Eddie Guerrero video before this thing and said I got to get in Cinco de Mayo mode with my American sombrero hat on for Cinco de Mayo, and I'm just going to say what Eddie Guerrero says.
I've been watching Eddie Guerrero since I popped out of the womb, my friend. But I mean, if I have to say what it means, which I will, because you guys clearly don't know what it means. Live your life.
It's long live the race, but
long live your life.
I believe it's either long live or forever live the race. Zito, I know you're Cuban,
Yes.
you're not Mexican. Is that accurate though?
It is the race.
Long
Not-
live the race. or
Not
whatever.
life.
Yeah.
Race. That'd be Vita.
To the race, then.
Okay. Why do you have socks on your hands?
They're tacos.
So you just rounded up everything you possibly could find that could potentially link to Cinco de Mayo and said, I just got to put it on however I can.
Bingo.
Well, that's wicked smart, dude. Great shirt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the shirt says Wicked Spot. Yeah. And, brought a little tequila from the house, too, just in case.
Oh, you have a little shot of tequila there.
Yeah.
You want to give a toast for Cinco de Mayo, pal?
I'll give it to Cinco de Mayo. This goes out to La Raza.
The race. This goes out to the race, he said.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Sock hands are a bad idea.
He's the dumbest. All right, let's happy Cinco de Mayo, Connor. Hope you get over that. I couldn't even smell tequila right now. The whole back area is going to smell like tequila now.
I got it in my eye.
All right. By the way, tequila was the shot of choice the October 20th, 2010.
That not a surprise.
Makes sense.
Literally the last time I drank tequila, I ended up in jail. Not a lot of people can say that. I mean, I have committed to that too, by the way. I'm like, all right, well, it had a good run. I mean, tequila had a good run, and then it just had to disappear while I was sitting there in a glass case that smelled like grumpy because the toilet was broke.
All good things come to an end.
I don't even know if it was ever good, though. It was just kind of like tequila gets you from there to there. Like, my lady she used to, sip tequila. I don't know how she did it. She still does it. Her friends do it.
Rock.
The Rock every single night with his, I'm not giving his name because you know what?
You should.
This show's too big to be giving free ads
love
to
it.
The Rock.
Very true.
You know what I mean? I think he gets 7 million views for every Instagram video he puts out there.
insane.
His IG story probably has
Kind of low for The Rock, to be honest.
Fake.
yeah, right. He loves tequila though. It was for me. It was always a vehicle to get to a place. You know what I mean? Like tequila was just
an accelerant.
This is an A to B operation here. Okay, I'm gonna chug a couple beers. Let me slip in a little bit of this tequila. This is gonna hurry it up. Okay, now we're at the point where everybody seems like we're gonna have a good time.
A lot of those yes. A lot of those upper echelon celebs.
Whoa.
A love sipping on tequila. They must have like a different tequila than the rest of us drink.
Well, that Terramana tequila that The Rock put together was founded on many, many years of tasting.
Terra Nova tequila.
Terramana, which I think believes is like something with the spirit of Hawaii. I'm not sure. He tied in Hawaii and Mexico, which are two great places to go to, and it made a liquor that I don't think I'll ever try, but it seems like a lot of people do.
I don't know about drinking tequila with pancakes either. That's kind of like his
Oh, you
thing.
think he's forcing that a little bit?
Till
I
you
think he
tried it.
might be.
Don't knock it.
And by the way, doesn't alcohol like slow down muscle growth? Like, there's no way.
Tequila is the only one that is a amphetamine
Yeah.
stimulant.
Tequila's pretty good for you, they say.
Well, that might be why I enjoy. Is that a lie? What he just said right there?
I don't know.
It's not. It's not.
Nick just gave a nasty look.
The
too.
amphetamine part is what I was.
Stimulant.
So tequila's meth is
I
what you're
corrected
saying?
it to stimulant.
Okay, it's more of an upper than a downer of
Correct.
an alcohol.
They have some sort of health benefits the same way like a glass of red wine at the end of the night does.
Because now that's probably why I liked it though. By the way, because whenever I did that, as opposed to shots of whiskey or something it's a different drunk. You know what I mean? The tequila seems like if it does have meth in it, like Diggs is reporting, it is a little bit of an Energizer bunny as opposed to a bring down taking
No meth, but it is a stimulant. So
See?
he's right.
Well said.
Good job, Tone.
Hey, good job. Hey, good job.
Good boy, Tony.
I know anything that's going to speed up my heart. So
Oh, it cuts down the risk of diabetes.
There
too.
it is.
Oh,
you should have a
I
bottle
love
or
tequila.
10.
I think strawberry marg's very underrated.
Oh, yeah.
I like the frozen one much
Oh, yeah.
more
Oh, yeah.
than on the rocks. The people on the rocks, I don't fully get it. Why don't you just make it a shot instead? I don't. But those are the same people that are sipping tequila. You get me a nice frozen strawberry marg though, while I'm staring off into nothing in the ocean with some vitamins in my soul. I mean, now we're having a good day. Maybe a little music in the background. Obviously, what music? I don't know. I don't know what music it is. Depends on the day.
Steel drums.
That ragtime.
Does it have? Do we do reggae because we want to feel like it's a vacation? Possibly.
life?
Do we do hip hop barbecue radio on Pandora? Potentially. A lot of people take shots at Pandora, like their playlists about 700 to 800 times better than Spotify's playlist. Just want to let you know.
How many years have you been mastering your playlist?
That's the thing though. You got to craft it. You got to remember before Spotify became a thing, I was on Pandora, thumbs up and then thumbs down in my way through all of these things. So now I'm at the point where I think Pandora knows me potentially better than I know me. So they're crafting playlists like new songs I hadn't heard of. I'm like, oh, I like this song. Like for instance, they're not putting any of these new rappers' albums on any of my Pandoras because they're all so soft. But as soon as a rapper decides to go ham again, I would assume Pandora would grab that thing and be like, here you go. Here, Jeezy's back. Here you go. Here's a little Ricky. Here you go. Or on my Kenny Chesney radio, by the way. Now that's one you turn on when you're on the beach and get going. That's good. That's
Feet
good
in the
stuff.
sand.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. I feel like we just enjoyed Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, that was great.
Nailed it.
Anybody have any quesadillas there? Mexico has beat us in the grilled cheese department.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our grilled cheese with the basic ass white bread that is toasted and things like that. Good. You can even throw tomatoes on there. Also good. You can make it a BLT now at this point if you really want to put some lettuce on. I mean, grilled cheese at its core is a great snack. They used to serve it with tomato soup, which I didn't always love in school, but I always loved the grilled cheese. And then you meet a quesadilla and it's like, Mexico has a better grilled cheese than us.
Yeah.
And that's the quesadilla.
What about a grilled cheese on Texas toast with some bacon in there?
Well, see, anytime you bring in Texas toast, it's going to be tough to beat. For instance, French toast with Texas toast, whole different animal now. Oh, my God. Anyways, happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Korean baseball live this morning. That turned around very quickly, by the way. I think like Jeff Passan passing with ESPN was like, hey, for the next 2 weeks or next 6 months or something, like we're gonna have baseball live starting this morning, 1:30 a.m. An American pitcher was over there throwing without a mask. They had fake fans in the crowd. They had Zoom crowd in the jumbotron. They're playing music. Who won? Who lost? Who's our team? Who are we pulling for?
Well, the biggest upset of the young season so far, the Doosan Bears got absolutely blasted by the LG Twins.
Well, they're a little bit of a hangover.
Exactly. I think they probably got their rings from last season yesterday. Not positive.
Well, and also they're a day ahead. They're celebrating Cinco de Mayo while getting their rings.
Correct.
How do you expect a team to hit with that going on?
That's a great point. Didn't even think about that.
They'll win their next game. Let's hammer them.
The NC Dinos took out the Samsung Lions 4-0. We had the first bat flip of the season, which is huge in the KBO.
Oh, the KBO is big bat flipping time.
Oh, yeah, big time. And this guy really let it eat.
Now, I believe that's called pimping
Yes.
Yes.
When you pimp your home run, you bat flip, which some pitchers are not big fans of. Some old whites that talk about baseball are not fans of. But anybody who enjoys any sense of entertainment, big fans of, right?
And this is very established in the Korean baseball organization, so there is no retaliation. Like it is like embedded into the game. Like it's very much a part of it.
Is the KBO better than the MLB?
Potentially,
people
but a
say that.
lot of guys are throwing like 84, 85 miles an hour. So
Oh, it's like BP over there.
yeah, a little
but
bit.
Am I going yard in KBO?
Good chance. There's a good chance.
Everybody thinks I'm training for a potential NFL comeback. Nobody thinks about what if it's the AFL that he's trying to get into, or how about this, even better, the KBO that's currently live. in action.
Exactly. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. Dan Straley used to play for the Baltimore Orioles. Pitched 5 2/3 innings of 3-hit ball for the Lot Giants. They took out the KT Wiz 72.
Wow, the KT Wiz one time.
Yeah, KT
That's
Wiz.
a big update. But when you got that big bearded American over there throwing 80, 85 miles an hour, with a lot of action, that's going to get a win. Maybe that's my favorite team. Are there a lot of Americans over there?
There's a few. Not very many, though. No.
Okay.
And then the biggest surprise, the Kiwoom Heroes put an 11 spot up on the Kia Tigers. I don't think anyone was expecting that. Yeah, beat them 11-2. Just absolutely.
Tigers?
And that's what happens with Kia.
Fastest
Yeah.
American
You know what I mean?
machine.
That's what happens with Kia. They got too good of a motor for too cheap of a car. So sometimes the people that are driving it don't deserve to have the amount of speed that they have, and they kind of can get run off the road. Diggs, Zito, many others that you see on the highway. The Kia motor is a damn good motor. That car is much nicer than it should be for how much it costs. But whenever you get a 5-star thing and you got 2-star people in there, there's always going to potentially be a problem. I had a Kia there for a little bit, and that thing was wide open. I should not have had as many ponies under the hood as I did have, but I did because that was a Kia operation. That's potentially what's happening to their baseball team. They got 2-star people staying in a 5-star batter's box, and they ain't hitting a damn thing.
Very
I'm
well
betting
said.
against Kia forever.
And then in the nightcap or morning cap over here, the Hanwha Eagles
Oh.
took out the SK Wyverns 3-0. A lot of money coming in on the Hanwha Eagles so far this year.
All right, we have to get to a break because we're 3 minutes late on a call with Lorenzo Alexander already. Radio will get to a break. During the break, we will do YouTube questions. So if you're in the YouTube comment section at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show, get busy in there on this Cinco de Mayo. We'll be answering your questions. And then Lorenzo Alexander joins us on the other side. Formerly of the Bills, legend of a man. We'll talk to him about his home gym. We'll talk to him. Is Cam Newton going to be a Buffalo Bill? We'll talk to him about the state of the NFL. Would he, as an executive member on the NFLPA, want to play 16 straight games right into the playoffs, right into the Super Bowl, which is potentially going to happen if they have to delay the season? That's going to be a tough one to get by the NFLPA, I think. Not 100% sure, but that feels like a potential tough one. We'll talk to him about all that on the other side for radio. This is the Pat McAfee Show. All right, here we go. Zito, every once in a while we like to dive deep into the annals. I need to get a little bit more definition on the arms if I'm going to start wearing sleevelesses again. Because I got good size.
Yeah.
I just been eating, during the quarantine, so you can't really see.
You drink
it.
a lot of water. That's a lot of water in there.
I do drink a lot of water, which, by the way, a lot of people were coming after my bladder yesterday because I have to pee a lot, but I feel like I'm a healthy guy.
healthy, man.
I'm a healthy guy.
Ain't no toxins in your system.
Ever heard of it? I don't even have tequila meth in there like Connor does today. Do you know that's strictly because your heart can't take tequila?
Yes.
That's a fucking shame, man.
Anytime I drink tequila, I wake up in the middle of the night shaking.
Oh, doing the luge?
Hey,
Laying
me too.
down.
Me too, by the way.
I looked up the pros and cons for tequila, and the one con is alcohol affects your thinking.
That's the only con? How about jail? Can you add jail on October 20th, 2010? And every once in a while, we like to dive deep into the most beautiful and nice place on the internet, which is the YouTube comment section for some YouTube questions. Should have done it in Spanish.
YouTube cuestionos.
Thank you, Zito. That was amazing.
That was
That's
right.
not question.
What do we...
If you
What
say
do
it
you
to
know?
me, if you
I
say
think
it
it's
to me, I can say it's
preguntas.
right.
I think you're right.
Okay. Well, Zito, what do we got?
From CJ Mack, who was Pat's best friend in rookie camp?
So I was roommates with Curtis Painter. Good dude. but I also got a chance to kind of see inside what a backup quarterback for Peyton Manning does because I was roommates with Curtis Painter. I got to see him take notes at night, kind of unravel through the whole thing. It was a kind of cool setup, to be honest with you, and I shouldn't have been where I was at. And I think it was strictly just because of alphabetical order that we were roomed together. He's a good guy, nice guy. Obviously, his career, he got thrown into a terrible situation. But with that came, obviously, a friendship with Peyton because he came to the room. He got to see me, I think, because he was trying to be a good teammate to Curtis Painter. Like, I think that is not talked about enough with Peyton. It's just like the dude was – he was a cool-ass teammate, which doesn't make any sense because he's on all those commercials. He's all everything. He was a cool-ass teammate. And the first weekend of training camp my rookie year, we're in Terre Haute, which is a city left of us on the map. Mm-hmm. And tiny little town. But they had our training camp. And there was a night off or something. We had a night off and then a day off, but we had to be back the next night at like 8 p.m. I didn't have a house in Indianapolis. I didn't know if I was going to make the team. So I was just going to stay in Terre Haute for the night. So I'm in Terre Haute. I'm hanging out that night. And Vinatieri comes to my room, and he's like, are you going back to Indianapolis or whatever? I'm like, no, I don't have anywhere to go. He's like, cool, will you drive for us tonight then? I was like, yeah, I'll drive or whatever. I just got out of a college run, by the way, where I was never the designated driver. Right? So at this moment, it was me becoming an adult. I was like, yeah, I'll be the designated driver for you. I walk out. We go down to the car. It's Vinny, Peyton, and like I think a couple other OGs. I don't want to say their names because I don't know if people know that they have a good time or not. So it was like 4 vets and then me driving. I was the only rookie that stayed in town basically. So we go to this one bar and we go upstairs and I'm just sitting there drinking water, minding my own business. Like, I don't know why I'm here right now. I should not be here. And they slide a beer over to me or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm good over there. I will drive. And I think Peyton was like, you're not driving. We'll come get somebody to pick up that car. Let's go. And that was when I I chugged the beer, and it was at that moment I think everybody looked, and they were like, oh, we got a circus animal here that can chug beers faster than everybody. So that was my – Curtis Painter helped me out, and then obviously the whole team took me, and I was very lucky to be there. We're back on radio right now. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here on this beautiful Tuesday, May 5th. Joining us right now is an NFL legend, a man who played for the Buffalo Bills for a long time. He retired. I just watched him deadlift in his garage. I don't know why he's deadlifting as a retired player, but a friend of the show, Lorenzo Alexander.
Yeah! What's up, Ben? How you doing, brother?
Okay, so I'm looking over your left shoulder there. Great background here. You got your Cause shoes. You got a couple game balls. You have a championship belt with the Buffalo Bills. I want to talk about that a little bit. But then you have this lifting thing. You're like a big time gym guy. I assume that's how you last so long in the NFL at linebacker?
I mean, that's part of it. I mean, that actually lifting statue was actually an award that the Bills gave out. You know, they try to make off-season kind of fun and competitive, and so they have the Iron Bills games. And so last year at the age of 36, I beat all them young cats out to be the champion of the offseason.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So that's the belt and the statue that we got for winning that.
Okay, what did you have to do? Was it like obstacle course, or was it actual numbers in the weight room, or was it different?
Yeah. So it's a combination of things. So every day we would have obviously our normal workouts and stuff, and then at the end of the week, the coaching staff would pick a lifter of the week. And then every Thursday, we would have some type of competition. It could be individual or team. Yeah. So we did obstacle course with individual and team. We did hang bar holds. We did tire toss. We did a ton of different things that were real cool and real fun. We did tug of war as a team. We did this bike amazing race thing that would wear guys out. And so it was several different things, and at the end of the day, I won it and probably was one of the highest point getters of all time as well.
Hey, respect, Lorenzo. I mean, that's if you're going to do something, you might as well do it great. I'll never forget when they started incorporating these competitions or team races as like our cardio. And we're like, oh, this is fun. It
Right.
is so tiring because you're actually competing.
Yeah.
You have the most competitive humans on earth, right? That's who the people.
Yeah.
If you're a professional athlete, you're the most competitive person on earth. That's just the way it goes. You have to have that trait. And now, even if there's nothing on the line, you're looking over and you're like, okay, I got to run a 40 right now. I got to flip a tire. I got to push a step.
Right.
Then I got to sprint back. And if I slow down my team, I'm gonna look like an ass. So you're going so hard, and then you're like, man, I wish we would have just ran 2 miles instead of that. I'm puking.
Right.
Yeah, it was terrible. But you were
Yeah,
the one.
they mind freak you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You were winning those. I was puking during those. Is Josh Allen going to be the guy that the Buffalo Bills are going to hang on to for the long haul? Let me tell you why. And you've probably already heard this. Cam Newton is on a full – it seems like a terror trail right now about getting back in the league. He's saying he's healthy. He looks like he's in better shape than he's ever been. Haven't had any real suitors. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. But a lot of people now are pushing the narrative that he should go to the Buffalo Bills. What do you think the investment is for the Bills and Josh Allen? And you're shaking your head saying there's no chance of that.
Yeah. I mean, being up there for the last, obviously, 2 years with Josh and being around that organization, they're all in on Josh. Obviously, you can always bring in competition, similar to what Dallas did with Andy Dalton. But the way Josh has been playing, the way he's been growing every year, the way he's led that team, there's no reason to bring in a Cam Newton and really stunt Josh Allen's growth. One, because of the investment you made in him a couple of years ago. And number two, he hasn't shown you to bring somebody else in that you would need to try to replace him, because that's what a Cam Newton type of backup quarterback would be to do ultimately, would to be replace him outside of like a guy like a Matt Barkley and Davis Webb, who we have on the roster right now, who can come in and get you a win or two if you need to and run your offense, but they're also there to help develop Josh as mentors. And that's why there's always like two different types of quarterbacks, one to replace the starter and one to kind of help the starter. And that's what they need right there, because Josh has all the tools and stuff. And then I don't know, and this is just from the outside looking in, I don't know if Cam fits the culture that they're trying to build up there. And that's for me, just practicing with him for 2 weeks. I don't really know him. But that's from my perspective, if he really fits that locker room and what Sean is trying to build.
What is Sean trying to build? Just like a hard-nosed, blue-collar, here we go. We're just going
right. The same reasons why people feel like the Patriots won't bring him in. And so it's just all about putting your head down, going to work. I know sometimes, though, when you have setbacks in your career, when you've been released or haven't been signed, that you do make changes. You look internally and make some changes, and maybe Cam has done that. And I think he's going to have to probably prove that in the offseason, or once he gets his chance to get in with the team to show that he's here to work, grind, forget all the camera stuff. I'm here to win games. And I think that's definitely going to help him out. And maybe not that he has to take a Jameis Winston type of deal, but maybe he's going to have to do something that he doesn't want to do in order to get back to where he wants to be.
I know the camera stuff is something that can turn some teams off, but what Cam Newton's been doing with his camera stuff, that vlog last night, he made a hype video about himself last night that I saw on YouTube that almost made me want to run through a wall and really pull for him. It does feel as if the musical chairs, though, are kind of getting all picked over, and it's like, will he have to come in the middle of a season and sign with somebody where if they're not having the success that they're looking for out of their quarterback, or if somebody gets hurt? That'll be interesting to see. Let's talk about Andy Dalton to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think this is a play by the Cowboys to say, hey, we want Andy Dalton to be our starter, although Andy Dalton has played very good football. I think what you were referring to with there's two types of quarterbacks, one that's supposed to compete and one that's supposed to help. I think Andy Dalton could be a great person for Dak to potentially lean on for a little bit more information. He's played in the league longer. He's been there, done that with a lot of stuff. Is Dak going to sign that contract ever, do you think?
I don't know if Dak is going to sign the contract, because obviously in his mind, he has what he wants. And so I don't know if the contract that they've offered him is exactly what he needs. And so I was, talking the other day, I think he should take the Kirk Cousins approach. I mean, he was a fourth rounder similar to Kirk Cousins. I would be running there to sign the tag, because after some point, they're not going to want to continue to tag you as a quarterback, and then you actually change the leverage, because then they know you're willing to sign the tag at some point, because most teams use the tag as leverage to make you sign a deal that's really in the long run probably more advantageous to the team or team friendly. But playing quarterback, unlike other positions, is probably one of the safest positions out there, even though I understand quarterbacks get hurt. But Dak really hasn't had any big-time injury issues. He's a winner. We all know he can ball. So if I was him, I would bet on myself and get exactly what I want instead of maybe settling because they maybe signed Andy Dalton, or you looking, the numbers are close and you just want to feel comfortable. And I would do more of the Kirk Cousins approach if I was him.
You know what's interesting is when you're a player, especially a good one, all you're trying to do is get to free agency. right? And I'm never going to pitch for the franchise tag because long-term wealth is a lot better than 1 year, everything like that. The franchise tag is the franchise tag is not perfect, but it's just like Trubisky where he didn't get his 5th year picked up, or Leonard Fournette who didn't get his 5th year picked up. And I guess the way the rules are, it's like if they get hurt in week 14, you're still on the hook to pay them their 5th year salary. So it's not advantageous for the teams to pick up people's 5th year options, but for players too, if you're going to hit the free agency market, especially if you have a good year coming up, you can get paid again. If Dak Prescott takes that $32 million or whatever he's supposed to get with that franchise tag and balls out exactly like he did before, let's assume he does even better and they win some games, his number is going to go up. But obviously for Dak, the thought is if I don't have the same year I had, my number is going to fall out the window. I think.
But why wouldn't they? They added pieces to it. They have a great offense. He's going to have a lot of weapons. He's got Zeke. He's got Amari. He's got CeeDee Lamb. I mean, so they're going to have advantageous spots as far as matchups where he's going to be able to take advantage of it. So that's why I'm saying bet on yourself, brother, because they've done everything to help you to go out there and maximize yourself.
It's interesting, though, because in business, right, in business, you can't always get everything you want because you're obviously doing business with other people. So you have to figure out what you want to give and take, just like in the NFLPA, NFL, CBA negotiations, right? It's like I always thought that whenever you go into a negotiation with your fists up, you're probably not going to have good negotiation because both sides are just going to be completely against each other. Now, granted, the new CBA, I think there has been some advancements. People are going to be upset. It was a 49% vote. That's always going to happen. But with the NFL thinking about delaying this schedule, now, granted, they have to because of COVID-19 and the quarantine.
Right.
What do you think the chances are of the NFLPA saying, you got it, we'll have no bye weeks, we'll go straight into playoffs, straight into the Super Bowl? There's no way that would physically happen if the NFL wanted to do that. They would have to eliminate some games, wouldn't they?
I would believe so. I mean, I would have to see how it was laid out. I don't know if the season would just be pushed back. If the start date is pushed back 4 weeks, does that mean the end of the season is pushed back 4 weeks? And then what would that mean for the following season? So it's just really a lot of moving parts without actually having a plan like in front of me to make a decision. But I never see a time where you just play 16 straight games without any bye weeks in there to give your body a rest. I mean, that would just be absurd to me. And something that wouldn't be very practical. I mean, when we're trying to figure out how to get guys more rest, and they're going to still probably try to want to do their Thursday games. And so to condense all that without the additional rest really wouldn't be conducive to anybody's career as far as a player standpoint.
And fans might go after NFL players for thinking like that, but honestly, like if you just think for 1 second from an offensive lineman standpoint, a linebacker standpoint, maybe a fullback or something like that, if the Thursday night game, everybody hates because they're not recovered yet. But that weekend, at least guys get to sleep and chill for a little bit. And then the bye week is a massive thing for guys. I mean, that gets them to the finish line for a lot of things. I think you'll see a drop in the quality if they were to do that. But if we have to do what we have to do to get a season, I'm all for that too.
Lorenzo, your hat reminded me that you and Aaron Rodgers were team captains together at Cal. So I wanted to ask, we've talked about how he probably feels about Packers moving up and taking Jordan Love. How do you think the rest of the locker room feels when they make a move like that?
You feel, because you've been on teams where they take a guy and you're like, man, what are we doing? I thought we trying to win now, especially if you're a veteran and there's some players I forgot what pick they had, like mid-20s, that you feel like they could have got a big-time player that's going to be an immediate impact player right then and there, especially when you have, arguably the best quarterback in the league, especially right now. Why are we getting another quarterback that's not going to play for 4 or 5 years? So I'm trying to figure out, as a veteran, what are we doing? But obviously management oftentimes has a different picture of what the locker room is feeling and what coaching staff is feeling. And, obviously everybody's compared just to when Aaron got drafted and Brett Favre. And so they do what they do, and sometimes it's confusing. But I know for me as a veteran player, I'll be very upset because I'm trying to win now, and I think they didn't do a very good job of doing that. They're thinking about the future, and I guess, hey, it's up to them. They're getting paid to do it.
I'll never forget watching the draft and just being like, what the are we doing? I mean, there is nothing. And by the way, coaches are doing the same thing. Coaches are watching, like individual positional groups are watching, like, can we not just get a little bit better in our room maybe? Is there any way that maybe – it's an interesting thing, that draft, because although your team can get better, your team can stay the same, there's a lot of emotional strings being pulled too by a lot of people that are looking out for their own careers. I think Aaron will handle it I think Aaron will handle it in a beautiful fashion.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron will be fine. I mean, he understands that he's not going to be threatened right now. I mean, he's still playing at the top of his game. Now, does he feel a certain type of way towards management? It might be like a Michael Jordan, Jerry Cross type thing, where he's MFing the GM or making fun of every time he gets a chance to. But he's gonna still go out there and handle his job because at the end of the day, he wants to win games.
I was watching that, and I think a lot of people were surprised about the amount of gambling on the team playing in the locker room and things like that. In our locker room, that was not that surprising to be honest. That is something. Yeah, exactly. Okay,
that's every single team I've ever been on does that at the professional level. Now, I don't know if it's getting to $1 million, whatever he was up to, but it's some pretty big pots that people would be surprised about as far as guys just hanging out, having a good time, and being competitive.
Well, it's a way to not only you talk, you're spending time together, but you're still competing. Yep. I mean, it's like if you think about the pieces of what cards or dice are, and you start like, oh, it's a competition. You get to hang out and talk. You can talk massive amounts of trash during it. I mean, it's basically a professional athlete. You might as well just put that right in there. It's a very normal thing. Were you a card player? Did you play cards, dice, anything like that?
Nah, I'm more of a domino player. When I was with the Raiders, we used to have like a weekly domino game. Me and Marcel Reese, because he actually lives out in Phoenix. And I was actually just talking to him on the phone yesterday, and the last time we played, I smashed him. And so I was trying to – right now, obviously, we're doing quarantine, and he's itching to get back over here to get his get back. But just talking trash to him over the phone about the last time I whooped him in some dominoes.
I was a card player. Always played cards. Enjoyed the hell out of those games. Maybe a little bit of dice if the pot was getting right and there was some, dummies in there. You get in there, you get some real good odds. You get some real good odds on tens and fours with some dummies. But on the flight home from London, we played in London. I had to consume 13 edibles, okay? So there was no way I was going to sleep. I was on another planet. Antonio Cromartie was playing dominoes. I think he knew he was probably going to get released because that was he took a knee during the national anthem, and then he had a feeling. I think he had a feeling, like maybe some. So it was kind of like his last trip with our team. I was wide awake, couldn't really do much, and he was like, hey, why don't you come play some bones with us or whatever? I'm like, oh, cool, I'll come. I put down, I forget what I put. I put down something, and this dude that was just on our team comes with it was like a windmill dunk with this domino. Yeah, we're at 35,000 feet. The northern lights are out the side of the thing, okay? Everybody is passed out. I'm on 13 edibles, and this dude comes crashing through the table with a domino. And the entire—
He had to break it.
Yeah, the board goes flying, obviously, and Cromartie's like, Pat, that's a tough look right there. It was like,
Did he win? Only way you can do that is if you win and break something down like that, because you messed the whole game up.
Yeah, he did mess the whole game up. He messed my whole life up. I'll probably never get back into that game again, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. Lorenzo, who wins the Super Bowl next year? Right now, I want you to lock it in.
Buffalo Bills. Tom Brady's out the way. We're going to have an easy path through the AFC. We're gonna win the Super Bowl.
Did Sean McDermott get better in the draft? Do you think the team has gotten better this year?
I definitely thought we got better. I really like the pick with A.J. Epinesa. I think Moss is going to be a great compliment to Singletary. And then obviously Stephon Diggs with our first-round pick that we traded to Minnesota. With those three picks, our offense, I think, is really going to be more dynamic this year. And if the defense should stay somewhere in the top 5 ranking, that's just a making for a great team. They already have great chemistry, and I really like the camaraderie and the consistency that they've had over the last 3 years. And so it's time to really make that move that we've been talking about for a long time since Sean got there in 2017.
Had a good run last year, obviously made it to the playoffs. A couple ran into the Houston Texans there, got hot. But it does feel as if this could be the Bills Mafia time to really have some success. I mean, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have been just doom and gloom for the city of Buffalo that lives and dies with the Bills. Boy, it'd be fun to watch that team have some success. I couldn't even imagine Bills Mafia turning it up to success notch. You mentioned Stephon Diggs being your first-round draft pick this year. We talked to Chris Ballard before the draft, and he said, tonight during the first round, I'm going to watch film of DeForest Buckner and be very excited that we got him for our first round. I might never be a GM, but if I have a chance to move a first-round draft pick and I'm after the 10th pick for an established veteran, I'm doing it every single time. And that's probably why I'll never be a GM, and it doesn't make any sense. But I think Stephon Diggs, you're getting Stephon Diggs. Now, granted, if he can mesh and whatever happened in Minnesota happened, but is there anybody that's Stephon Diggs in this draft? Even Jerry Jeudy, CD Lamb. Stephon Diggs has NFL reps in him. I feel like it's a move that you have to make if you have a chance to make one of those things.
And I would agree because you never know what you're going to get out of a rookie. You don't know how they're going to handle the transition, how they're going to handle the money, the fame. And then wide receiver is probably, talking to guys over the years and playing, is one of the hardest transitions as there is. And so you're really unsure of how those guys are going to live up to whatever ceiling or grade that you put on them. Even though those are great players, you just never know because there've been a ton of busts in the first round. So why wouldn't you go with something, especially when you're trying to win right now, that you know what they can do, who they are, and that they go out there and produce?
I have no patience. As soon as somebody becomes a big-time free agent or looking to get out of there, come on in, pal. Come on in. Yeah, you're all going to hate each other probably. You don't have enough balls, but come on in. That's what I would do. Ladies and gentlemen, great businessman. Obviously, hey, your gym, is that your garage? Your gym is nice.
Yeah. That's my we have like a detached garage that I made into my little gym. For my that's my little safe haven when I want to get away from these kids. I just go in there, lock the door, turn the AC on, and get some work in.
Okay, how much were you trap bar deadlift in there?
That was like 455. So yeah, that's still a little lightweight for me. Last year I was doing about 715. So I don't know if I'm gonna get back to 715, but I like where I'm at right now.
Hey, you're retired now. You can eat every steroid and go get the mountain. Go get the mountain if you have to in that garage.
Yeah.
The mat there, the padded blue mat there that people do warm-ups on, are you doing that strictly to protect your toes off the hard floor?
Exactly. My toes are stiff as hell, and I want to make sure I didn't jam them into the mat. So I'm doing barefoot deadlift. So that's why I'm using that.
See, that's next level thinking right there. Because my feet slip, my toes dig in, get a pad under there, all of a sudden you're a genius. Lorenzo, there's no question why you're a Pro Bowler and an NFL linebacker forever in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, Lorenzo Alexander.
Yeah! Appreciate you guys.
Cheers, brother.
All right.
Good conversation there. Josh Allen's their guy, he says. And I saw a couple comments about Cam Newton not working hard. It's not, we're not saying like that. It's like Cam Newton is a show. I mean, that's his personality, his charisma. Not every team is as welcoming to that. I think there's a lot of, I've experienced that firsthand, that there are some places that enjoy you, and then a new regime comes in. It's like, that's not for us. Like some places are, Pete Carroll is known for letting people's personalities flourish. The San Francisco 49ers, the same exact thing. Whenever you hear about other cultures, though, they're not as like, oh, this is fun. They're more like, this is a job. Like, we don't want you to even be smiling, dancing. We don't want that happening here. Which, by the way, both ways have had success. I enjoy the side that lets you have fun and stuff like that, but I assume Cam Newton isn't going to be a guy who's just going to completely change his personality if he needs to get. Maybe he will, though. I hope he doesn't, because that video he put out last night, banger.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then his first one, he had E.T., the hip hop preacher, in the first video. Cam Newton's team down there is doing good content. I can't wait to see where he ends up. We got to get to a break for radio. We'll take some phone calls during that break at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. Happy Cinco de Mayo here. This is a good tune. 715-pound trap bar deadlift.
Not bad.
So they've, now granted, studies change in all aspects depending on who's benefiting from the results of the studies. But there was a time there where that type of deadlift had a direct correlation to how fast and quick you were and explosive. Like that, there was a time there where that lift was considered like the lift that if you want to see and have immediate results, you do this.
Really?
Yeah, all the Stanford kids were doing it in our weight room. They got this whole new setup for the Stanford kids. And I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, this is the lift that directly correlates to how hard you press into the ground, which means how explosive you get out of it, how fast you do this. I'm like, well, you seem smarter than me. I'm going to go hang clean. I have a good one. But I guess that's a really good lift. Lorenzo Alexander, good guy.
Yeah.
He talks well. He knows his stuff. Yeah. Shout out to him. All right. We'll wrap up hour one of radio on the other side. We'll take some phone calls during the break. You're the greatest. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Why were you guys so rude to that song, by the way? Play that thing one more again. Play that song one more again.
it was. I mean,
Kicking it around with McAfee, and we were doing it for the brand. And the boys in the heart of Indiana, and you know that it'll never be planned. He went from kicking rockets in the AFC South to spitting mad truths from out of his mouth. Number one on the field and 69 in our hearts. Holding balls, cause we're ready to start the Pat McAfee Show. Pat McAfee Show. 3, 2, 1, and we're ready to go on the Pat McAfee Show.
The show has begun.
I'll tell you what. Zito even gets a little verse in there.
he was the boogie boy from Company B.
What was that? Was that Italian?
No, that's some little ragtime little bugle boy.
Let's go to That was pretty good little. By the way, if we pick that song, what Zito says afterwards, and then immediately followed by that every morning. I think you just signed up for another walk.
There was two
If that's
songs.
involved, yeah, I'm in.
There was two songs that we learned in chorus, and it was Bugle Boy and We Are the World, We Are the Children.
See, I didn't make it in chorus.
Bugle boy.
I didn't make it in chorus.
Neither did I. I think this was like a.
I played the recorder. I played the shit out
Oh,
of
yeah.
that recorder.
Hot cross buns, yeah.
The voice was on last night. I've never seen a man look more miserable watching people sing songs than Blake Shelton in his house. It was awesome. Let's go to David in Maryland. What's up, David?
Hi, Pat. This is David. I had a question for you about the whole Rodgers situation. I got it written down, so I'll try to keep it brief. But basically,
Written down.
you think
this guy
that
prepped first.
LaFleur thinks that Rodgers is a diva, or that the rest of the NFL coaches, players, and executives see the drafting of Jordan Love as confirmation that Rodgers was the diva in the McCarthy situation and not McCarthy? My belief is that Rodgers is an all-time great QB and wanted like a young yes-man coach and earned it over his career and proved himself last season. But LaFleur was sick of being treated like the kid brother and not the coach. So I just want your take on that, how the other NFL executives, coaches, and players feel about the whole situation with Love and what they're taking away from that.
Hey, David, not a bad fucking essay there, pal. I think you did pretty good. He wrote that thing out. He wanted to get all his thoughts in there. Yeah. I don't know if anybody thinks. I think the people that think Aaron Rodgers was the diva and the McCarthy split up, this just reaffirms everything that they've thought. They never liked Aaron Rodgers. And then the people that understand, with a sane mind, that sometimes two people, whenever they're around each other, especially when you're a Yinzer like Mike McCarthy, which is out of Pittsburgh, Iron City, you know what I mean? And then you go with a California kid, whenever you're around that long, there's a chance that at some point you're just like, all right, we've had it. We've had enough of this. That's how I think I look at the thing, just as a guy from Pittsburgh who has met plenty of the Cali type kids, which, by the way, no offense to them, great television shows in high school. Sure. We love the Cali kids, love Aaron Rodgers. But you can see how those two could potentially run into each other after a business relationship for so long, a la Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. But I don't know if anybody gives a single fuck about how LaFleur feels. I'm being 100% serious when I say that. I don't think a single person, nobody knew who he was when he got hired. He had a great success this last year, but a lot of people were like, well, the defense played good, and Aaron Rodgers obviously made plays, and in the second half of games weren't great, so LaFleur probably has some room to grow still as a play caller. I think that is probably something a lot of people feel. But I think people will like LaFleur if they continue to have success and make the NFC Championship his first year coaching, and that's incredible. But if they fall off the mountain, I don't think anybody will give a single damn about LaFleur. Aaron Rodgers' resume is stacked up much fucking higher than LaFleur's, and I think LaFleur knows that as well. I would assume Gunther Kuntz is the guy who potentially doesn't love that Aaron Rodgers gets the credit for the wins as opposed to the organization.
Yeah, and all the stuff about Rodgers treating him like a kid brother, like they've both confirmed that was a product of the media. So I don't think he is butthurt about that. I think you're right. I think it's Gunther Kuntz. It's
very interesting, though, that after their second championship or third championship, Jerry Krause was doing an interview, and all he kept saying was how good the organization is. This is a good organization from top to bottom. Like, he wouldn't even mention, that we have the greatest player potentially of all time playing with a guy who's playing for peanuts and Scottie Pippen. All he kept saying was how good the organization was. So that feeling by Krause was early. Is Gunther Kuntz feeling that same way since the beginning of this whole thing?
I think so.
We got 10 seconds till we're back on radio. Hey, David, not a bad. That was a good.
Hi, Pat. David here.
In depth.
I like David.
Good call.
I like that.
I like David. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here. We've got a few minutes left at the end of hour one here. Just got a call during the commercial break, youtube.com/the Pat McAfee Show by a guy named David in Maryland, who wanted to talk about how the Jordan Love decision gives other executives a chance to reaffirm their thought that Aaron Rodgers was a diva, basically. And we went into depth about how, well, that's accurate if that's how you view it. And if you view it as the other way, that's probably accurate as well, which is everything in this world, by the way. Everything in this world is if you view something one way, whenever you're shown facts, it either reaffirms it or you're like, well, who knows? And if you view it another way, it's like, just the world we live in. 2020. There's murder hornets.
Welcome.
Those are 2 inches big, by the way. I did a
they're
little
big.
research.
Oh, yeah. 2 inches?
2 inches big. Their stinger thing is a quarter of an inch whenever when a bee's is like 1/16 of an inch or something like that. These things are just little flying drones basically around there trying to get you. Trying to get you.
I was very startled seeing that murder hornet take out that mouse. There's a video going around of
Right into its skull.
Yeah, they decapitate the thing.
It was very startling.
So they're headhunters too. Like they know where they're going. I guess there was something I was told that the bees started defending themselves by circling the murder hornets.
They pile on and they get their body heat going and their wings flapping and they create so much heat they roast the hornet alive.
And they and it ends up suffocating them. They can't breathe anymore. So you see a murder hornet, let me tell you the steps. First, you give good visual contact on that thing to assure that it's a murder hornet. It's 2 inches big. That's not a baby. That's a murder hornet. Then, once you see it, you got to get behind it like Steve Irwin used to for the crocodiles. Stay out of the way of the tail, but you got to be out of its sight. Now, granted, its eyes are big old eyes, so it can probably see you. Stay thin. Stay thin behind the murder hornet while it's buzzing around. Then, whenever it's not paying attention, maybe it spots a female murder hornet. It's like, doing its thing. You get in there. You jump it up! You jump the murder hornet out! But watch where your hands go, because if that thing gets you, it can kill you. You got to make sure you get its Coartery brand.
Jugular.
Yep.
Get the jug.
Got to choke it out. That's what the bees do.
I bought a tennis racket because it's got big surface area.
Smart. You can get one of those electric fences tennis racket thing. You can just go out there and start. But by the way, murder hornet probably saws right through that tennis racket.
Beach paddle ball.
I'm taking a Louisville Slugger like I'm in the KBO. I'm taking the head off the murder hornet, and then I'm saying to his friends, come on.
Be
and
careful.
I'm taking them all out.
Be careful. Those are Japanese murder hornets, so it's basically a gyro ball coming in at you.
You know what I'll also say to these murder hornets. You're talking about the KBO, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, they throw gyro balls.
Yeah, they throw batting practice. That's what the murder hornet's going to do. It's so big, too. You got good eyes on it. And you know what? The first murder hornet, I'll try to be democrative with it. I'll try to talk to it. And I'll say, don't make me kick you in the mouth. Kick in the mouth. Out and slap the thigh. Hour 2's on the other side of the worst talk show in history. We appreciate you for joining us on this May 5th. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Hello. Welcome to Commercial Break for Radio. This show is brought to you by Raycon, by the way. E25 earbuds are the greatest earbuds you can possibly get out there. A lot of people came after me in the Instagram comment section because I did not have my E25s on. That's because I accidentally left them down here because I was getting a pump on over in our gym.
Correct.
Won't happen again. Need to get another pair anyways. If I were you and I already own a pair of E25s, I'd buy 7 more pairs because they're so good. Smart. Yeah. Leave them in all your gyms like your Lorenzo Alexander. Let's go to Kyler in Pennsylvania. Kyler, what's going on?
What's up, Pat? I'm calling in to talk about UFC 249 this weekend.
Yes. I'm joking. Okay, what do you want to talk about, Kyler?
Absolutely banger after banger on the card. I think half the fights on the card could be performance of the night candidates.
Wow.
I know the entire planet's going to be watching this fight. Do you have any insight? Who do you got your eye on this weekend?
Oh, Castillo, right? He's fighting.
Yeah.
Castillo.
Yep.
Castillo. I'm a big fan of Castillo.
I don't think that's how you pronounce it.
Who?
I think it's Henry Cejudo. But you hit the nail on the head.
So I'm on his side.
Castillo, I think, is fighting as well, though.
What I said?
Yeah, Castillo.
That's what his friends call him.
On the undercard?
He's fighting.
Anyways, I'm watching these human cockfights. I don't know anything about any of them. And I almost feel better that way. Listen, I've rolled before with UFC fighters, okay? I've trained with UFC fighters, okay? Did I get knocked out and tapped out moments after starting to train with them? Yes. Do I have a much greater appreciation for the fact that it's chess in there and there is real strategery happening? It's not just the drunken bar fight that I've witnessed 200 times. Yes, I have nothing but respect for UFC fighters. I just don't get into the storylines. I have no idea who's fighting who. I don't know what gym they're out of. I don't know anything like that. I am just a guy who wants to watch Gladiator. Let me see the two human cockfighters get in there and do something that I can never do. So will I watch the fights? Absolutely. But I am not the guy to be giving advice on these fights. I have no clue who's going to win.
I just want to see some knockouts.
Just give me some knockouts.
Oh, the big ass Thor.
Oh yeah, he's fighting other Thor.
Are either of them professional boxers?
No, I believe McGregor gave it to Thor pretty good.
Yeah, I remember whenever they were getting in there and body. But the thing was that Mountain was just eating every fight. He was
true.
And by the way, the one thing I do know about the UFC is if the guy from Miami who's the baddest motherfucker champion,
Jorge Masvidal.
I predicted he was going to knee Ben Askren right in the face and knock him out.
Yeah.
By the way, biggest knockout, best knockout in UFC history.
Quickest too.
I predicted it. I said it was going to happen to Ben Askren. I actually asked Ben Askren. I said, hey, you're a wrestler. Do you ever worry about eating a fucking knee? And he goes, well, it's just something you got to deal with. Next fight, as soon as the thing starts, eats a knee. People are wondering if the baddest motherfuckers watching our show getting advice on how to fight him. I never said that. Other people are saying that.
Right.
So if he's fighting, I'm betting on that guy. If Connor's fighting, I'm betting on that guy. Other than that, I'm here to be entertained, and I appreciate the men and women getting into that cage ready to do it. Also, Holly Holm. I think she beats the hell out of a lot of people.
You gonna pay for this weekend?
Will I?
No, do you have to?
Yeah, it's a pay-per-view, I believe.
I would assume a lot of businesses that are currently in a bad spot would be charging people for things.
I don't know, TV deals.
Well, I think TV deals are probably in a pretty bad spot too.
I don't know. NFL doesn't make me pay to watch.
I will watch the fight though. I always do. I literally always do. Last minute, laying down some vitamins. There's nothing else on TV. Two humans are about to try to kill each other in a cage. All right, I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what's going on, but I enjoy it. Except for when that guy just laid on top of Matt Mitrione.
Roy Nelson.
Yeah, and then when old buddy laid on Connor and then when he jumped out of the cage, I was pretty pumped up about that.
Oh, yeah, Khabib.
Yeah, those are fun. Khabib, he's got to fought a bear and swam against a river in Russia.
Yeah.
There's another guy. When he's fighting, I bet on that guy. Other than that, no holds barred. Except for you can't kick him in the nuts, can't punch him in the back of the head, no downward swinging anything. I respect that they can go in there and try to kill people with rules. You know what I mean? Radio's back in 5 seconds. I will watch the fight, have no fucking idea what's going to happen.
Kicking it around with McAfee, and we're doing it for the brand. And the boys in the heart of Indiana, and you know that it'll never be planned. He went from kicking rockets in the AFC South to spitting mad truths from out his mouth. Number one on the field and 69 in our hearts. Hold your balls, cause we're ready to start the Pat McAfee Show. Pat McAfee Show. 3, 2, 1, and we're ready to go. Pat McAfee Show.
This show has begun. Sorry.
The Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy from Cup and Amy.
Welcome to the Pat McAfee Show. That was an entry for our new intro song. legitimately trying to play it as many times as possible so we can never listen to it again because I actually like it. It's getting to the point now where I'm all in on that song. I don't know who it is, but if you'd like your song to be used as an intro song, send it to Stuff for the Show, the number 4, Stuff for the Show at PatMcAfeeShow.com. It is Cinco de Mayo. It's a beautiful day. We can't thank you enough for listening or watching wherever the hell you may be. All the boys are here. At Nick Morato's here. At Ten Diggs is here. Ty Schmidt is here rocking a Ninja Turtles flat bill.
I'm moving, so I got very limited wardrobe, and I was like, you know what? May never wear this thing.
I like the hat. Jason McAfee's here. Viva Lazito's here. Evan Foxy's here looking great in his winter green. And on the phones, 1-833-622-3331, wearing taco socks in celebration of Cinco de Mayo, Boston Connor.
Viva La Raza, boys. Viva La Raza.
What does that mean?
Live that life, baby. Live that life.
Still not accurate. Had an hour to kind of get to it. I still can't do it.
Long live the people.
Hey, you were in college just a few years ago.
Just a few, yeah.
Did you graduate? Yes.
I graduated almost 2 years ago on the day.
Unbelievable. We're starting to learn a little bit more. You were part of a yacht club as a child. You went to a
Boat.
private school.
Yep.
You were in junior
Boat
year
club.
2 times. And then now you're a college graduate at this point.
Yeah.
Did you guys celebrate Cinco de Mayo as much as like our generation did? Because I'll tell you what, in 1980, I guess the corporate greedy fat cats took advantage of the Cinco de Mayo Mexican Revolution Day celebration and turned it into this cerveza slang and margarita slamming celebration. And I'll tell you what, I bought in hook, line, and sinker. I was all in college. Cinco de Mayo was a massive day in our college run. Was it for this younger generation as well?
I mean, there are certain schools who have massive celebrations, like UNH, I know. But for me personally, no, I always had like finals during this time.
Oh, yeah. My birthday, May 2nd, 2 finals.
It wasn't big for me either.
Well, that's not
Well, we kind of knew that.
Nah, Michigan State's a big school. You think it would be?
No, Michigan State, they're kind of known for all the wrong things. So I don't think they would celebrate another country's independence.
Touche.
I mean,
You did not deserve that.
I feel like any college, you just look for an excuse, and Cinco de Mayo is a great excuse.
Great excuse. And it was, by the way, it was 3 days after my birthday, so I'd probably been on a 72-hour run at that point.
Yep.
I didn't do Star Wars. I couldn't imagine if I did Star Wars, because if we go my birthday, May the 4th be with you, into Cinco de Mayo, I might never made it out of Morgantown, West Virginia. But that day there of nap in between the two really led me through, and I didn't have a real degree, still don't, so the finals week really didn't mean a damn thing.
You get a 5-gallon Gatorade, you get a bunch of Swaza. I believe that was the brand. Tequila.
Oh, yeah,
And then you dump it in there, and
S-U-A-Z-A.
then you dump the margarita mix, and you have yourself a great time.
Yeah, you're damn right. And then you just get like a gavel thing you just drink out of if you have to. And if you got to put it in the bathtub, you do what you got to do, because Mexico got its independence.
Correct.
Which I thought I was celebrating it the right way. Turns out, nope, that was just the beer companies completely shaping it in a different fashion, which tends to be the way America does things. And shout out to Mexico. Congrats.
Apparently not independence. It was a battle against the French.
Did they win?
They won that battle, yeah.
Well, I was against the French, so maybe that's what.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't celebrating a loss.
Yeah, they were winning.
Yeah.
Congrats to them. Not getting independence, but beating the French.
And they got independence eventually, right?
That's
At some point.
And if they didn't win that war, would they have ever got independence? People are asking.
I don't think so.
Because if you lose the French, not a lot of respect. Never going to get your independence.
Yeah, it's going to be tough from the neighbors.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I forgot it.
Go ahead. You got it. You had it going.
INDEPENDENCE.
Well, yeah, but
Independent, but yeah.
Scott Satterfield will be joining us here in about
Scotty.
36 minutes. He's the head coach of Louisville, the football team. Louisville basketball team's in the middle of some sanctions due to the FBI thing that came out. I believe that's all the way back when Rick was coaching.
With Adidas, I believe.
Yeah, there's a lot of Adidas money going around. For some, I watched something or read something about this. The Scheme. I watched The Scheme on, is that Netflix?
HBO.
HBO. I watched it. There's this guy named, what's his name? Watkins?
Christian Dawkins.
Dawkins, there it is. Christian Dawkins is this hustler out of Detroit. This dude his dad was a basketball coach for a high school team, best high school in the country is what his dad says still to this point. Christian was his son, and although he wasn't the best basketball player, he had this incredible entrepreneur mindset where he was able to flip his friends basically into getting money from people to sign with agencies. And he became this point man in this FBI investigation where they were wiretapping. And all he kept saying during this entire scheme thing is these FBI people who were initially just investors, right? So he didn't know they were FBI at the time. He was talking about how stupid they were. He just eventually started just taking their money and not giving the money to anybody. But these coaches from these different schools who were his friend were just a part of his scheme to get money out of these people. Then these coaches get thrown under the bus because they were giving money to players. The entire college basketball world, the underworld, I guess, kind of got exposed during this entire thing. It's kind of got covered up, but now there's more sanctions coming out. It's very interesting to see how this is all going to unravel. From if you listen to Christian Dawkins talk about it, it's every single school. It's not just the schools he worked with, because he was just one liaison for like 10 schools. There was liaisons all over the place, Adidas money, Nike money, booster money. There was money coming from all over the place. And I feel like that's why the NCAA is trying to move forward with this name, image, and likeness thing to kind of showcase, like, hey, let's get away from that a little bit. Let's have them make money in the real way, which is going to be interesting, because just like Louisville head coach said, Scott Satterfield, who's coming on here, he talked about how this is just going to be another major move for big schools and big boosters in the teams like Louisville and the smaller conferences maybe that don't have all the funds but still have the ability to put together good teams who can make a good run are going to get left out in this whole thing. I'll be intrigued to see how that all plays out. Can't wait to talk to Scott. I do like the fact that players are able to make money off of their name, but anytime you give somebody an inch, what are they going to take? A mile. That's just the way it goes. I would assume the teams that are on national television every single weekend anyways, the teams that coaches get a chance to, do 30 for 30s and have reality shows about them, they're going to win in recruiting regardless. But now you add on the fact that they potentially have boosters that can just have you come sign autographs or take pictures and pay you another 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand. I mean, that's going to be something that the NCAA is going to have to deal with.
For the G League, though, obviously that's their competition now.
That's basketball. We're talking football here.
Oh, we're talking college football?
Yeah. Scott Satterfield's head coach of the Louisville football team. He's come out against it because he's worried that the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Georgias. Look out for Houston, by the way. Houston's got a lot of oil money. Look out for Houston to potentially become a big-time player in football, even if they're in the American Conference. Look for them because they got big boosters that could do the name, image, and likeness thing. Scott Satterfield, I think his point is a lot of these schools that maybe don't have the biggest boosters or biggest donors could potentially end up by the wayside. And I think what everybody else is saying, Foxy,
that's business, baby.
yeah, could be tough for a lot of folks. I'm pumped to talk to him because I have been against the NCAA in their lack of paying for the people that are earning all the money for a long time. Since I was in college, since I watched Pat White and Steve Slayton basically build West Virginia University. I mean, no offense to the greats of the past at West Virginia University. Whenever our team went on that 4-year run, and I say our just because I strictly happen to be the same age as them, and I was just riding their coattails. Buildings were popping up on campus. The stadium got a complete makeover. There's all these things happening. And granted, they'll say that's not from the athletic money, but did tuition go up because more people wanted to come to West Virginia because Pat White was on Thursday Night Football every single night? West Virginia went from, I would say, a B school to an A-plus school whenever we were on our run. And a lot of that was because of Pat, Steve Slayton, Owen Schmidt, and the basketball squad that was dominant at the time. And those guys, Pat didn't make it in the NFL as big as he probably should have. Steve didn't make it in the NFL as big as he should have. Owen Schmidt didn't make it in the NFL as big as he should have. Darius Renaud didn't make it in the NFL as big as he should have. Dan Moses, who's offensive lineman, didn't make as big as he should have. And all these other people got broken off and paid for it. I saw those guys make nothing out of it, right? Now, granted, they might have got $100 handshakes. I did not. I got out loans to buy drinks. But I just think ever since I saw that happen, I had the observance enough to be like, yo, these dudes deserve a little something. And now that they can finally get a chance to sign their name and make some money, which Pat would have made a lot around West Virginia, I like that. But now it's going to be the balancing act of how do you corral this thing, because it could become the Wild Wild West in lack of better terms.
Yeah, how are they going to manage that slippery
No
slope?
idea. There's no way. There's literally no way. They should just like I thought baseball before the current commissioner called their trophy just a piece of metal. I thought baseball should allow those baseball players to just eat steroids if they want to. Now, granted, it's not good because the people that won't be willing to do it are obviously at a disadvantage to 90%, it sounds like, of the baseball players that were willing to take it. And it's not something that you necessarily want your league to be associated with, kind of like a circus carny sideshow thing. But boy, when they were just eating every steroid available, those baseballs were flying out of parks into rivers behind them. That was when baseball was must-see television. That's kind of the thing I think for college football is if you just allow everything, then you don't have to worry about everything getting off track, which I assume NCAA still wants a little bit of control. I don't know how.
Is there a chance that they can benefit previous players like Pat White, Steve Slayton, based on how many games they played in their career or something?
They did that Ed Bannon thing
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yep.
I got paid out for that. I think like $450, $500 or something like that.
Did you get NCAA football checks, like the game?
No, I got one from the Ed Bannon
Yeah.
thing. I guess I was a part of the lawsuit. I did not know that until a check showed up in my house, and I didn't open it for like 2-3 months. It was just sitting on my thing because I was young, and I didn't pay my mortgage either because I thought that was on auto pay. Didn't know you had to sign up for it. House almost got what's that called?
Foreclosed?
Foreclosed. Almost got foreclosed because I took like a month trip after I bought the house. I went to Europe. I was in Pittsburgh. I was in Florida. I was in California. I get back to my house. There's no furniture in there, obviously, because I haven't moved in. Just clothes that I would drop off and head to the airport again. And there's a big thing that's like, don't foreclose on your home yet. And I'm like, well, I just bought this home. And I called the bank, and they're like, is everything okay? I was like, yeah. They're like, you haven't made a payment in 3 months. Like, are you all right? I was like, oh, my God. I thought that was on auto pay. They're like, you didn't notice the money wasn't coming out of your account? I'm like, no offense. I haven't even looked at my account. If there's money in there, I'm good. That's all. So I went and paid, obviously, the next, like, 5 years off or whatever. So it was like, but that is something that I got $500 or something like it for that. It wasn't that massive of a check. And I'm like, man, I feel like they took a settlement because the number was big. But then once you start doing the math on how many people get it, it's like, that wasn't really worth it, Dan. But I like that Ed went for it. Is it O'Bannon or Bannon?
I think it's O'Banion.
O'Bannon. I like that he went for it, but I don't think the settlement was anywhere near what they were hoping for.
Because you're going to pay so many players.
Yeah, that's why I like the NCAA game coming back. I don't know how it happens.
See, but wouldn't that make sense for the NCAA because they're going to make a bunch of money off that? Like the kids might not, but the NCAA itself would make a killing on that.
But we're very much knuckle deep in the woke culture right now, right? Which is why you see Mark Madden talk about how, well, there's no way any of these players are going to agree to play because the more you learn about things, the more you learn about business, the more you learn about health and risk, the more voice those people obviously have. That's not just in sports, by the way. That's in the entire world. We're very much in we know more than we've ever known before type world, and we're in a situation where people can take a stand and try to change things. Now, granted, I think there's a lot of people that grandstand and pander and don't really want to make a difference, but when it comes to the NCAA athletes, I think with the G League opening up, and I think with other avenues and a lot of the media spin potentially being like, yeah, these guys probably deserve a little bit of money. I'm not 100% sure the NCAA can just make a decision like that anymore without having the players be represented because I think the tide has a bit turned against them. But how do you pay all the NCAA players? Do you only put the starting 24 players, 25, 30 players on each team? Then you only pay them? Well, then what about the rest of the roster that's in there practicing against them that's making them better? It's like, hey, in the world, if you produce, you get benefit, except for if you're a college athlete. That's just not the way it goes.
It's gonna be very hard to do.
I can't wait to talk to Scott. He's probably researched this a bit because Louisville is one of those schools that's like, hey, we created Heisman a couple of years ago. Lamar Jackson's out of here. They've had success. I would assume he's a little bit worried about competing against other teams' boosters because that's who you're competing against. You're competing against other teams' boosters who own companies in the area who can get you to do autograph signings and things like that. Louisville is probably like, we don't really have that person on call at the moment. It'll be interesting. Look for Georgia Tech, by the way, to make a big run at something as this name, image, and likeness thing because Atlanta's got Coke. They got Waffle House. They got Turner. Chick-fil-A. They got a lot of people down in that area who I think are Georgia Tech supporters. Look for them to go. That's the way you got to start looking at teams that could potentially get good at recruiting with this name, image, and likeness.
I'll be interested to see if he is worried about it strictly because he came from he's an App State guy, and then he took over a 2-10 Louisville team and turned it around without having to pay players and stuff like that. If he's like worried that things like that won't be able to happen as often if bigger schools are going to be able to pay.
Yeah, but I think like my West Virginia team, and I've said this a couple times, but it's real. Like we're almost last chance U. We all of our, and I don't want to say all of us because there were some guys on there that had scholarship offers other places, but a lot of people, most of the team, like Steve Slayton's scholarship to Maryland was pulled like a week before signing day or a month before signing day. He was going to go to Maryland. Pat White, I think they told him he wanted to be a wide receiver or a corner or something like that. Like West Virginia was the only place that was like, hey, we'll do this. We had a linebacker who got into a little bit of trouble like a month before signing with us, and he lost 30 scholarships, and West Virginia was the only one that stayed. So I still think there will be those teams that are like the chip on the shoulder, kind of like castaway team that'll be able to make a run. And I'm not saying Louisville was that. I'm just specifically talking about my situation. So even if guys have the ability to go to some schools. Some things are going to happen where you're not going to be able to do it, but then you got to hope that your school's willing to accept those. I mean, it's going to be a balancing act. And if Scott continues to have the success that he has, he's going to be on the receiving end of a lot of this stuff. I assume he's looking out for the other coaches who are like, hey, we don't really have boosters that are just ready to throw out cash to people, which a lot of schools that are successful do, which is kind of the behind the scenes thing of this entire thing.
And do you think that's also a big reason why Louisville is worried because that turncoat Papa John is no longer giving them money? He's wearing Kentucky stuff right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine he was the biggest booster Louisville had.
Yeah, it was Papa John Stadium, wasn't it? I think I played at Papa John Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
basketball one's KFC.
Yeah.
But I
Yum
think
Center, yeah.
Did I play at Papa John Stadium?
I think so.
I think I did. And his ass was there too. I mean, he was, we had Muhammad Ali came and did a lap on a golf cart. Bush, the running back, Michael Bush, I believe, he got hurt a week before that, was it?
Big boy.
He was an animal. He got hurt either a week before or 2 weeks before. We played on Thursday night down there. They had a blackout. We were ranked in, I think, top 5. They were top 5 as well. That was back whenever those Thursday night games were the only thing on television. And we were playing almost every other week in those games. So, like, I think ESPN saw, like, okay, this West Virginia team is electric. Let's get them on Thursday nights. There was no NFL. We went down there, and before the game, it was like, I mean, that stadium was filled probably an hour before the game started. They had Muhammad Ali come out. The place went ape. We're on radio still right now, right? So I can't say that. They go crazy. Then Michael Bush comes out and does a lap, and he was hurt or something. He was either on crutches or something like that. They started Michael Bush. And then Papa John came. I mean, it was just like we ended up losing. They rushed the field, and I almost saw a couple of my teammates decapitate white kids from Kentucky while they were sprinting by us. I've never been on – I don't think – that was the first time I was ever on the wrong end of a field storm. And it was one of those things where – a lot of our strength coaches were like almost preparing us for war. They're like, helmets on! And like, so everybody put their helmet on. And then you got some dudes from Dade County who are currently either in jail or you know, got caught up in the wrong things that were on our team. And they see these wearing like black polos, Louisville polos with boat shoes and like khakis running on the field, like yelling in their face. And I saw one of my teammates about to just, I think maybe potentially kill somebody. And another person grabbed him and was like, no. Like, let's get out of here. And that was one of the craziest scenes I've ever been a part of. But that was back when Louisville was humming, man. I mean, it was on top of the world. Scott Satterfield, damn good coach. But he is probably scared because old Papa John, hey, Papa, is now saying eating 40 pizzas a week or something like that.
He lied to us.
Yeah, now it's just Cardinal Stadium. It was formerly Papa John's Cardinal Stadium.
Well, Scott Satterfield, but all Papa John stuff. 17 minutes after the hour, we got to get to a break for radio. What should we talk about on the other side? Oh, here it is. This is classic radio. You are going to want to hear what we are going to talk about on the other side of this break. I mean, right now, you need to go to the bathroom, figure yourself out, maybe get a snack, maybe get, I don't know, cerveza because it's Cinco de Mayo, maybe a margarita, tequila. You know what you're talking about. Because in 4 minutes on the other side of this break, we're talking about something that people aren't talking about. And maybe they are talking about it, but we're talking about it in a much different, better fashion. That's only after the break, right here on the Pat McAfee Show. Clap.
Bro, I ain't got all that power to knock a teeth through a can. God dang.
Okay, so,
I ain't that strong.
So look, ready? So when you flip it up, there's a little bit, gonna be a little air bubble here, right? So let's put this thing upside down here. All right, on the same side as this, put it right here.
Just a hole.
Yeah, put a hole in there. It might spread a little bit, so.
And leave the tea in there.
Yeah. So now we make the hole a little bit bigger.
Make it a little bigger.
Okay, so we can really get a good.
With this asshole out.
Yeah, now we're talking. You see what we did there?
Oh shit!
Yeah, don't tuck it in. Don't tuck it. Yeah, don't hurt yourself. I mean, I do not want to be a part of that.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Okay, so then.
So when I open this can up, it's just gonna shoot.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll do.
Am I drinking this or?
Yeah. So you're gonna go here, and then you're gonna open and flip up. Does that make sense? So put your finger there. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hey, cheers to you. Hey, by the way, congrats on winning the NBA a couple times. Blah 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 blah, and being an incredible golfer.
Thanks, Bob.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Hey. Hey.
Damn.
Okay,
That's
Scotty.
the best Bud Light I ever had.
There's a lot of foam in there too. You did well there, Scotty.
Wow.
Hey, there's no Caucasian for you.
You right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for a reading by Zito.
Thank you, Pat. With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important.
I don't think you're allowed to say. We just got that dumped, I think.
What do you mean?
Say what you said again.
Uncertainty.
Oh, gee.
So you're not saying the body part. You're saying the word.
Uncertainty.
All right.
What do you mean, Don? No one can hear you, but what do you mean?
Don is our voice of God in our ear from the FCC, basically the radio guy. Incredible soothing voice, deep voice.
So you're saying the radio guys are making fun of an illiterate guy reading?
Yeah, it sure sounds like the FCC's judging an illiterate guy.
I hope you sleep well.
Wow.
Don. But I'm going to go back to the Simply Safe ad. Feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of Show Name, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy and finally get comprehensive protection for your home.
Yeah, damn right.
I forgot a word there, but
no, you nailed it.
Since Don's making fun of me, there's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay an outrageous monthly fee or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, you're going to call some action?
I'm calling some action right now. Right now, when you head to simplysafe.com/Pat, The listeners will get free shipping and a 60-day risk-free trial. That's simplysafe.com/Pat to make sure they know that our show sent you. From Simply Safe and all of us here wish you safety and good health.
Attaboy, Zito! Attaboy, you didn't want to get swatted by Fox anymore, so you started throwing back left. I don't like the FCC's judging you.
I know. So if I say the word like the mushroom, will I get in trouble?
What's that?
Shiitake mushrooms?
No, well, you said that, I think, a lot better than you said the word uncertainty, I think.
Was that the word?
Yeah. But I can see how you saw uncertainty.
So you can use the word shiitake.
Yep.
Because it's the word.
Because it's a word.
But then if you take the taki out, you get in trouble.
Well, that's a different word that you can't say. Yeah.
But you can use root or combo words.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to find an F1.
Well, shiitake is not a certain combo word.
So he thinks talkie is a word.
Yeah. So like talkie is not like a walkie-talkie. That's not like how. That's not
those.
That's not the shiitake that's on the back there. But I think they're wrongly profiling you at the moment.
So the
is it because you're Cuban?
I think so.
Is the FCC judging you
on?
Well, Connor's even worse. Somehow. Connor.
So how about there was an Asian baseball outfielder back in the day. I don't know if I can say his name, but it ended with Domi, and it started with the F word. Can I say that?
Oh yeah.
Well,
it's different though because that's.
Well, can I use that as an F word for now on?
Fukadomi.
Yeah, if you
Whoa!
say. Oh, so now you're judging Z.
FCC.
FCCZ. I wish Simply Safe would be able to get the squirrels out of my house.
I got squirrels in your house?
Well, everything that lived outside of my house now currently lives in the ceiling.
Even they're getting away from
Bro,
the
these
crime.
sons of bitches are loud too. I mean, it is. I don't know what they're doing up there, but they are definitely, they're at least procreating because there was somebody humming right above my head on my ceiling, and I feel like it's only a matter of time before whatever this is, a possum, raccoon,
Owls.
squirrel.
Watch out, this might be an owl.
There's no hooting out there, but there's a lot of hollering happening. You know what I mean? Dick just hurt himself. But they are just in my house at this point. They have completely moved in. I heard the one dragging his rat bastard blanket. I heard it happening. I don't know. Tim McAfee's going to guess crawl through my ceiling, which what's that mean? He's coming through my ceiling probably.
Oh, yeah. Can you put like CS gas in the ducts?
Or he's leaving.
After watching that Waco thing, I'm not putting gas anywhere. Okay? I am not doing
The
it.
fire's going to be up in
We
flames.
got women and children in here.
Stop, brother! There's women and children in here.
Let's go to Wyatt in Wisconsin. What's up, Wyatt?
Nothing much. How's it going?
Oh, Wyatt, you sound young. How old are you?
14. I called the day before draft day.
Oh my God, Wyatt, you were a good call, but I remember telling you strictly do not listen to this show if you're 14 years old. Did I not?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Bad at listening. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Patriots.
Okay.
Do you guys think that the Patriots are going to tank for Trevor Lawrence next year?
Why you think that's why he's drafting a D2 player with a second round pick when he probably could have drafted that guy in like the 7th round? Is that what you're saying, Wyatt?
Yup.
What else are you saying, Wyatt? Are you saying that because their director of scouting just left town to go to the Tennessee Titans? Is that why you're saying that?
Yup.
Are you saying that because the offensive line coach left and Joe Judge, the special teams coordinator, went somewhere else?
Yup.
Are you saying it because Tom Brady's gone? Gronk comes out of retirement. Kyle Van Noy's gone, and the whole squad basically is going to be brand new with a quarterback that we have no idea if he's good or not?
Yup.
They still got Bill Belichick. They're going to win games. But if they need to lose, by the way, I would put all my eggs in the basket that Bill Belichick will be able to figure out how to lose better than anybody else.
I mean, you said it. No idea if he's good or not, so he might still be good. And not drafting a quarterback might give you the opinion that Jared Stidham is the future of the NFL.
Did anybody think Tom Brady was going to be a good quarterback? No, we drafted him, pick 199, 198 people said this guy stinks. We drafted him. We'll do the same thing with Jared Stidham, just like we did with Matt Castle. You remember when Matt Castle wasn't here? He stunk. That's what Bill Belichick's thinking.
Exactly.
What are you saying, Zeke?
No, I just saw his board. He spelled Emmett's name wrong.
Yeah, and by the way,
Both ways.
Emmett is, it's with an E and 2 T's. I mean, Connor, I think Connor.
I wrote it before he told me how to spell his name. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, it's dry erase. I mean, that's why you have a dry erase board, and you change the quote that's above Emmett's name literally every single day. What's today's quote?
Feet. What do I need you for when I have wings to fly? Free to Kayla.
That's a stupid quote, but you
Kahlo.
spelled Emmett wrong.
Kahlo.
All right, you spelled Emmett's name wrong. A lot of people ask in the comment section, by the way, where's intern Emmett? Emmett has classes Tuesday, Thursday, so he's here only on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now, did I tell him that he'd learn a lot more on that couch right there than in his stupid Zoom class? I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did Emmett's dad probably force him to make sure he finishes his classes, though, because his dad is an astute gentleman of a man? I'd assume that is the case. So we have Emmett and Emmett's Minutes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm a big fan of Emmett. He fit into the office pretty well yesterday.
What else did Emmett do yesterday?
Well, Emmett opened an entire box of things that got shipped to the office, like 4 boxes of stuff, intern work, right?
Yeah.
Opened the boxes. Then Foxy obviously bossed him around, told him to put the booze into the bar.
Yep.
Then he just left the cardboard boxes all over the office. So Emmett still has no idea how to be a functioning human in society. And after this, I wonder if they're teaching him that on his little Zoom call. Like, hey, when you open a bunch of construction board, or is that what it is?
Cardboard boxes.
Cardboard, yeah, you get it. Learn that in class. Cardboard boxes. Don't just have them spread out all over the office, Emmett.
That was actually a test. I knew those boxes were there, and I was going to see if Emmett was going to go the next mile and throw the boxes away.
Well,
didn't pass.
Accountability. Where is it?
And to Emmett's credit, by the way, everybody else in this office walked by those boxes at least 3 times and just left them there. Didn't even think about moving them. The guy that spelled Emmett's name wrong on a dry erase board didn't change. He just walked right past it. I think he spit on him while he walked by in the middle of the office. John Taffer used to yell at employees when they'd walk past something on the floor, and they were like, would you do this at your house? And for Connor, he would. No, Connor would spit on a cardboard box.
I still do.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't hold him accountable. Everybody, Emmett, though. Emmett was great yesterday. Fit in the office well. But he did. He littered. He just left an entire cardboard box thing. That's what you got to do, I guess.
Make him run sprints.
We got to get to a break. Scott Satterfield. He's got to get in shape for his thing,
Exactly. Let's get him on the baseline.
Suicides.
Wide receiver for DePaul. CFO Phil and I have negotiated a contract with Emmett. Emmett is not confirmed or seen the contract yet, but we are presenting it to him tomorrow. We will pay him because legally we have to.
Seriously?
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to just get free labor anymore because it's not for a class.
Oh, yeah. No
Remember, we
credit.
learned yesterday on air that
yeah.
he's literally here for no other reason than just a resume builder. So we can't just not pay him because then there's like 45 laws for that thing. So we have to pay him. But I think he's a good addition.
Yeah. Good kid.
I like Emmett a lot.
Finagled his way into a payment, though. Look at him, huh?
Well, the YouTube comments did.
They did.
And then I started getting tweets last night about how you got to pay him. It's like, yo, I literally have to pay the guy. Okay, so pipe down, pal.
Mm-hmm.
His dad made me a wealthy man too by making me better at kicking balls. So least I could do is return the favor to the McMahon family.
Pay it forward.
Might as well.
Pay it forward.
Now, if he picks up cardboard boxes, you know that contract that I originally saw, got to come down a little bit. Incentive-based contract all of a sudden with cardboard boxes in there, potentially ending up in the dumpster.
It's like the Eddie Lacy
Yeah,
contract.
we're signing him to an Andy Dalton deal. He's going to get this amount, but with incentives to potentially go and grow, 133% if he does things well. That's the Andy Dalton deal, $3 to $7 million, right?
Yep.
Well done.
Thank you. Scott Satterfield's on the other side, head coach of the Louisville football team. We will wrap up this hour with what I think could be a very, very good conversation about the future of NCAA sports. This is the Pat McAfee Show. All right, here we go. Let's get to these phone calls. Camden in Texas. What's going on, Camden?
Hey, Pat, down here in Texas, just wanted to give you an old COVID update.
Okay.
COVID has mutated to the size of fucking dogs, Pat. It's huge. Wait. 1 second. One's coming at me.
Is that a gun?
I don't mind that little skit. That was a little skit there from
Yeah.
him. I like that down there at the Lone Star. He said COVID-19 went from a virus to a thing that is bigger than a dog. It just barked. We think maybe COVID-19 took that guy's leg off down in Texas.
That's a shame.
Let's go to Dalton in West Virginia. What's going on, Dalton? I hope that guy's all right.
Hey, how you doing, Pat? Big fan from way back.
Hey, I
Got a
appreciate
question
you.
about the game at WVU versus Louisville in 2007.
Okay.
Gold Rush game.
Oh, okay.
A punt occurred very early in the fourth quarter. Owen Schmidt actually took the punt, netted for something like 9 yards.
Oh, yeah.
I was always curious to see what the backstory behind that punt was. Was that a design fake, or what had happened? Why was he so angry on the sideline afterwards?
Great question. So, Owen Schmidt, you know how like Tom Brady punts every once in a while, Ben Roethlisberger punts every once in a while. You do the quarterback quick punt. Owen Schmidt was an incredibly gifted punter. He was like a pretty good punter. So we had it in there where I think Pat would go out. It was 4th down, and it was in that territory where it's too far for a field goal. It's too short for a punt. And I think Owen in practice had done very, very well. So then he does it in the game, goes off the side of his foot, which happens to professional punters, and what in turn led to him walking down the sideline, hitting his head with his helmet, I think, like 10 times or whatever because he was so mad. I do believe we ended up winning that game.
38-31, you won.
Yeah, we ended up winning that game, which, by the way, shout out to us. But, yeah, that was not a high moment for old Owen Schmidt. He used to be able to turn it over and everything. He was a very good athlete. Runaway beer truck, too. He used to just fucking slaughter people. He did. He used to hate, him in the gym was just insanity. I mean, it was just absolute insanity. A bunch of savages in there, and he was just right in the front of the whole thing. It made no sense at all.
What game was that where he split his head open?
It was the first game he started.
Yeah. Okay.
Seattle Seahawks.
Yep.
It was his first ever game he was starting. And his move was to hit his head with his helmet. Like, that was a very standard thing. So he was getting introduced out of the tunnel for the Seattle Seahawks. It was first ever game starting. And I assume in his head, he was like, all right, first of all, pumped up. It's my first ever start. He was a walk-on in 2 different places before he got to West Virginia. The Owen Schmidt story is one that should be a movie someday. I hope people do it. Then he finally gets into the NFL, gets drafted. He ends up at Seattle. It's his first ever start. And he goes, oh, I got this party trick. These people are going to love me. He goes out on the tunnel, slams his head so hard with the helmet, he needs stitches. He misses the first couple snaps, didn't get his official start until the next week because of situation. But people have said that's the loudest the Pacific Northwest has ever been. So I feel like Owen probably takes a little bit of solace in that. That dude was a legend.
Yeah, I mean, look, need a guy like that on your football team.
Yeah, great guy to be. He was a bouncer at a bar in West Virginia his first year because he was a walk-on.
Ooh.
I mean, he was just like,
Bashing his head up.
just
feel bad for those kids.
He deserves a movie. Owen Schmidt deserves to be a movie. His life, especially because the night before the Fiesta Bowl, he gave us a big speech too. That was just awesome. I mean, it's just like that guy's life is a walking, talking movie. But his opening start will always be remembered as the thing that never happened because he fucking gave himself a wound to his forehead. I've seen him hit himself with his helmet though, no less than 100 times. Never seen that reaction. He must have been really going hard on himself. He must have fucking been like, all right, here we go. Let's do this. I wonder how the helmet is. You see that head. Think about what the helmet was experiencing at that time. He's a legend. All right, Scott Satterfield joins us on the other side. We used to have some battles with Louisville. That was back when Brian Braun was the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Harry
Douglas
was a wide receiver, right? I believe
Yep.
Harry Douglas was a wide receiver. He was very good. They were a full team down there, and it used to be electric. They came into the Big East, and everybody's like, all right, there's a new big dog in the Big East. That was the wording, basically, when Louisville came in. It was like, okay, here's – because Miami had left, Virginia Tech had left. Louisville comes in. They were supposed to be the big dog. Our first game against them, my freshman year, 2005, went to triple overtime or quadruple overtime, and then each year it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
You guys win that overtime game?
Yeah, come on. I had an onside kick, too, in the fourth quarter. No big deal.
Come on, Connor. Just making sure.
The refs tried to ice me, too, on a game-tying field goal like 2 or 3 times. They called to stop after while I was kicking, they stopped the clock.
Was it at Louisville?
No, it was at home.
Was that Pat's first game?
No, his
But
first
Nair
game
got
was Virginia Tech.
Me too.
It was awesome, though. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Joining us now is a man that had success at Appalachian State. He goes to Louisville, turns the program around. Head coach of the Louisville football squad, Scott Satterfield.
Yeah,
Scott! Attaboy, Scott!
I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem. You deserved it. Congrats on an incredible season. I assume the offseason, obviously much different with the quarantine. I think you, with a good football mind, will be able to turn your team around, excited for them to watch. I was reading up on some other things I would like to talk to you about because I think it's very vital to the future of the NCAA. This name, image, and likeness rule that's going to come into play for schools like Louisville, West Virginia, these kind of smaller schools that don't have these massive boosters. You said that you're a little bit worried that this could potentially become a problem because how do they keep this on the rails of just people signing autographs without boosters getting involved? Am I accurately depicting what your thoughts on this whole thing is?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of things and a lot of tentacles that will be coming out of this that we really don't know what's going to happen. I'll worry about athletic departments. If I'm a donor to an athletic department, let's say Louisville, and I usually give, $50,000 to the athletic department, maybe I want to give to a player now so I can, befriend that player. And maybe, when that player becomes an NFL, player, then I can hang out with him a little bit more. I don't know. We don't know what the tentacle is going to be like. You also have programs where the boosters, they probably don't care. They'll give as much money as they can to get players. It's gonna get into recruiting. For a high school player. Maybe agents are going to start getting 9th and 10th graders now to say, hey, we're going to brand you to when you become a college player and your name, image, and likeness comes up. Then we're going to have a plan for you to make more money. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that could come out of this.
I feel like after reading about you a little bit, I think you do care a lot about your players. And I think seeing your players maybe get a little bit of money to kind of live and maybe take care of their family a little bit is something that you're not against. I've always been like, hey, I think guys should be able to make money off their name. But once you start digging into it, how do you stop schools like, and now granted, this is a school that probably is going to come out of nowhere for this, like Houston. I mean, Houston has a lot of oil money down there. They got a lot of businesses down there. How do you stop a school like Houston or Alabama, who has a lot of boosters, or Clemson, or these people at the top? How do you stop them from not making promises to these players that, hey, our boosters will have you do an autograph signing and make big money? How will they regulate that ever? And is it going to become just a free-for-all once this rule becomes, and is that what your fear is?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the fear, and you're right. How do you regulate it? That's the whole question. I'm all for players being able to make money off themselves. I mean, that's great. I mean, we're in a capitalist society where I feel like you should be able to make money off your name. What I worry and my fear is that you can't regulate it. It's going to be, the recruiting piece. We can't hardly regulate recruiting anyway now. I'm in an NCAA level. Now we're going to say, okay, now it's legal to pay players and bringing them in. I just don't know where it's going to stop. I do worry about that because I love the game of football. I've always been around since I was 7 years old. I love it. I love the fact that you can go out and it's such a pure sport. Now, we know big businesses come into college football now. It's been that way for years, but now it's becoming even a bigger business with this and the way this is going to work. Also, look at social influencers now with these young people. They're making money now by if they got 1 million followers, how much money they're making. Think about Lamar Jackson when he was at Louisville, and what kind of impact he would have had, or Trevor Lawrence now at Clemson. The sky's the limit for those type guys. They'll make a ton of money.
It's very interesting because you're a coach who's probably going to be able to benefit from this. And now, granted, I assume you're completely okay with going and staying at Louisville and you love your time at Louisville, but everybody understands how college football works. If you're a successful coach like you are, both at Appalachian State and at Louisville and the places you were before, there's a chance you're going to get a big-time school. But that's kind of the fear, right, is that schools like Louisville, who sometimes come out as nowhere as Cinderella stories, or a West Virginia team that came out of nowhere for a good 4 years, those things are going to potentially be obsolete. Is that kind of the fear of the whole thing?
Well, I mean, it could happen. We just don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I think one of the great things about college sports is the parity that we have. March Madness is the biggest sporting event, arguably, that we have throughout the calendar year. It's because a Cinderella, a Butler basketball team may go play in the Final Four. That's what we love about it. And if we're going to create this model where, the rich are going to get richer and the ones that have the money and they're able to put the money into these guys, they're going to be getting the best players. They get them anyway a lot of times, but they're going to be getting them even more now. I just worry about that. Then also I worry about the model. Are we becoming the NFL as far as, the pay scale goes? Yeah. I worry about that also. I just love the purity of the sport that we have now where people come together and for one cause, for us as a team, we go win. Now we're going to become a more individualized sport. What if I'm the second team running back? And I'm getting my 500 yards for the season, but I'm not getting the kind of endorsements or NLI type thing, money that I'm going to get. What's that going to create in the meeting room and for the running back coach? I mean, there's just a lot of different tentacles that I think are going to come off of this that we really don't know.
Okay, let's pivot away from that. Great. I appreciate your comments on that because I think they're valid, by the way. I'm not 100% sure everybody is saying them. I appreciate that. Let's move to the thing about coming together and football being something that rallies people from all walks of life, both in the locker room and in the stands. You're talking about a sport that really captivates a world. What are you hearing about when that's potentially going to happen? We're hearing the MLB, right? KBO is back. The MLB is having another spring training. You're talking about the NFL is releasing their schedule. Everybody's saying that's to be determined. What are you hearing in your conversations about the thoughts on college football moving forward, and what are the next steps?
Yeah, I think as a whole, the college football world that we're living in right now, we're trying to come up with a plan. I think some people, you've heard about some of these models to return to play. And I think right now we're kind of settling in on around a 6-week model return to play. So whenever we do get cleared to be able to bring everybody back, that model will be consistent throughout the country where you have 6 weeks to get ready to play. I bet you there will be programs that their athletes will be coming back on campus before others. And so that's going to be, they maybe have a little bit of an advantage that way. But I think the one thing that I think we want to settle in on is everybody has the same amount of time for camp. And if it's 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever that is, that's what we got to settle on. And then I think it's all going to come down to, we're starting to open these states back up. How is that going to look the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? And and if if it's starting to look good, then I think we'll be able to come back and play a normal time.
We'll have to look at the numbers. Obviously, Texas is back wide open. If you're in Indianapolis, this place might as well be wide open, even though the mayor said not. Well, who knows anything about the future? But it is nice to kind of get these landmarks and dates in our mind to look ahead a little bit. 6 weeks of prep time for every school. What have you been doing to keep your guys ready for when that time comes, so you're not just starting from scratch? Is there Zoom workouts? Like how do you keep your guys in shape without just, we just trust that they'll do it?
Yeah. Well, again, we got these rules, that are out there right now. So we can't, nothing is mandatory right now as far as working out with our guys. So we're meeting with our guys, which we can do that, and we're just encouraging them to work out and run and try to do lifting as much as they can. All these gyms were shut down throughout the country, so if they did have a gym in their garage or in their basement, they were able to do that. But a lot of these things that they're doing is just body weights and whatever they can find running around the house and trying to be creative. So we're as coaches just trying to be motivated to our guys and say, listen, I tell our guys, you can't get ready, you got to stay ready. So whenever this thing does open up, when you come back in, the teams that are doing the best job at home right now will have the advantage, I think, when we come back. So you don't have to get everybody back into shape. You're coming back and you're starting at a higher level than maybe some other teams.
Spring is such an important time for the growth of these 18, 19, 20-year-old players. I mean, it is. I put on, I think, 20 pounds myself. You look at some schools, they got guys that put on 40 pounds in the weight room. How are you going to make up for that whenever you get back in, the stunt of growth almost of a player and as a person?
Yeah, that's extremely difficult for us right now. And you're exactly right. The growth of players in the past that I've seen from spring practice to the time they go to summer and then the time they get into August is tremendous amount of growth. And not only physically, but mentally. They understand things. They start picking it up. They go from high school to college, and it's a big jump for these guys. And so for them to be around these college athletes throughout the summertime is huge. So, we're going to miss some of that. But I guess we're all on kind of a level playing field, though. So if we're missing it, so is the other teams we have to play are missing it. So, but it maybe hurt the product a little bit, so to speak, this fall. I wonder if it. If we're going to be a little bit more sloppy this fall. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. But I do know I go back to when I was playing. I played in the early 90s. Back then you were not on campuses all summer long. Most people had jobs. You went and worked. You showed up around August the 1st, and you had about 4 weeks, and you started playing football. I know it was a different time, a different era, but we did it. So and it was a pretty good game, we thought. Although I look back on my film, I thought I was good, and I actually was terrible. But, so maybe this has helped. All the summertime that we are getting, so we are missing that.
What position did you play?
I was a quarterback.
Okay, where at? I probably should have known this.
Well, I played at App State, where I coached for all those years. So I was at App State for 23 years total.
Oh, so you were there for the Corey Lynch block against Michigan.
I was calling the offensive plays that day, yep.
What a monumental moment in the history of college football. I mean, that App State team you guys had there, and if I'm not mistaken, did you guys come up to West Virginia and learn from Rich Rod a little bit too about the spread offense?
We did, but prior to back in 2004, prior to us, going into the spread offense, this is back before anybody was doing it. We visited about 3 places, but we went up to West Virginia. That was one of the spots that we talked to Rich Rod about what he was doing. And in 2005, we won our first national championship. 06, we won another one. In 07 is when we beat Michigan, and we won our 3rd one that year. But it was all just going to the spread offense. Nobody knew how to defend the zone read at that point.
Now it's everywhere, by the way.
Everybody's doing it.
Do you see that continuing to progress, or do you think the football is cyclical, or is the ground and pound offense going to be something that comes back at some point?
Well, it is cyclical, but I do think this is one of the rare things that football used to go from the top down, NFL all the way down, but now this kind of went from the grassroots, small college ball, Glenville State, Rich Rod, and then worked its way up, and now it's into the league, and the league to me is starting to explode with it. We've kind of tried to be a little bit visionaries or whatever. I mean, we started doing the pistol stuff with the outside zone with the Denver Broncos we're doing 12 to 15 years ago, and that's kind of helped our running game. But yeah, we're still our spread. Our offense is a lot of spread models, but we know that everybody's going to continue to change and evolve because you got to try to stay ahead of the curve.
What's the difference between coaching at Appalachian State and then coaching at Louisville? What was the biggest jump, you think, in the difference? Was it the environment? Was it the business side of it? Was it dealing with everything? What is the biggest difference?
I mean, it's just, it's bigger. It's bigger. We got, you got bigger stadiums. You're playing, opponents that have bigger stadiums. You have more media attention. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. The things that we did at App State was tremendous, but we didn't garner much media attention. When we beat Michigan, obviously we did, and that was huge news. But other than that, there really wasn't huge news. But I think for many, many years, we did a lot of great things. So now we come here. We won 8 games last year, and you're getting national attention from the national media. I think that's probably the biggest difference. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. It doesn't matter where it's at. They're the same. It's just how you deal with people is what it boils down to.
Oh, Scott, I appreciate God.
We watched during the draft some tape on Mekhi Becton.
Oh, my God.
That is an animal. How was it coaching him last year?
Oh, man, he is. I tell you, I first remember him when we had our first team meeting. And I'm greeting everybody as they're walking out of the meeting, and they're normally about eye height, but I had to look straight to the ceiling of this guy. I was like, holy crap, who is this huge human being right here? And then our AD said, yeah, he's pretty good too. We get him on the field in first spring practice, and he could run. I was like, wow, we got something right here. Tremendous to be around him for this year, and he really helped himself out. Being picked in the 11th pick. I mean, I think he's got a huge upside. He's 6'8", 365 pounds. He can run. I mean, there's not many people walking the earth that can do the things he can do.
Yeah, that's a special species right there. Yeah. We were watching his film or whatever when I was putting my mock draft together, which was almost perfect, by the way.
Yeah,
basically. It was almost perfect. I got the first 2 picks right, and then after that, it kind of took a big slide. But then we kind of got off and running. What is your, when you're recruiting, what is the pitch to the player and to the family about what Louisville is building?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a lot to sell here at Louisville. One thing we talk about is we're in a pro town without a pro team. We got a big city here that's a lot of things to do, a lot of different variety, but we are the team. Everybody's looking to the Cardinals, the basketball, the football, all the things that we're able to offer here. We're playing in a great league here in the ACC. The airport's 3 minutes from our stadium. I mean, there's a lot of great things about this place. I think it's a great mix of the South and the Midwest, right here in this city of Louisville. A lot of great people here. I'm from North Carolina, so I kind of believe in down home type people. I didn't know I was going to get that in Louisville, but we certainly have gotten it here. Man, we love it here. We fit in great here.
I'd be selling 4th Street Live if I were you. That's a great time to go. Ladies and gentlemen, head coach of Louisville, formerly at App State, Scott Satterfield. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right, thanks.
Good conversation. Mm-hmm. Louisville's a good time. That's where the Kentucky Derby is, obviously. Mm-hmm. They have this string of bars called 4th Street Live that has a little roof over top of it. It is. They just got horse cops at one end and horse cops at the other, and it's like a mini bourbon in the middle of there.
They got a roof over all of it with a bunch of restaurants in between?
Yeah, it's like open restaurants, bar. Guy Fieri has he has like 2 bars, a couple restaurants in there. Whew. It's electric. I have fallen asleep on a bench there in the middle of 4th Street Live, Kentucky Derby weekend. Got one of these.
Guy Fieri wouldn't let us talk to him.
Whoa.
Guy.
I was on a Guy Fieri. I was on that NFL phone-a-thon thing. Guy Fieri was on there from his house. And Rich Eisen asked him, have you ever met Pat McAfee? And he goes, well, I don't think so. I know him or whatever. I was like, en contraire, mon frere. We have met at the Kentucky Derby. It was at your party. It's hard to get to you. You're in the back. But we did have a little bit of a chat. What do you say?
Basically spit in our faces.
No, he didn't. I mean, you guys are a little bit cynical. I mean, he was a hell of a host. He was very nice to us. I mean, maybe not to you, Nick.
He was not nice to you either. Don't you dare cover up for this man.
He wasn't. I think he was pretty intoxicated, though. I mean, I don't judge people at that state of mind, but it was a good party, good time, and it was nice to finally get a chance to Zoom with him on that NFL phone-a-thon thing. Triple D.
These wings are gangsters.
We're back at 1 with McAfee and Hawk. This has been the Pat McAfee Show. Happy Cinco de Mayo.